Hello guys, Analamic here, and today we're going to be continuing the tale of Emily Windsnap, which you guys have requested. I've gotten a lot of comments asking me to continue the next part. Chapter 2. It's not exactly the kind of thing that happens every day, is it? It doesn't happen at all to most people, but it happened to me. I was a mermaid. A mermaid? How did it happen? Why? Had I always been one? Would I always be one? Questions filled my head, but I couldn't answer any of them. All I knew was that I discovered a whole new part of myself, and nothing I'd ever done in my life had felt so good. So there I was, swimming like a fish, and in a way I was a fish. My top half was the same as usual, skinny little arms, my bangs plastered to my forehead, with sea water, black Speedo swimsuit, and a very soggy jean jacket. But then, just below the white line that went across my tummy, I was someone else, something else. My suit melted away, and instead I had shiny scales. My legs narrowed into a long, gleaming purple and green tail, waving gracefully as I skimmed along in the water. I have to say that I had never done anything gracefully in my life, so it was kind of a shock. When I flicked my tail above the surface, it flashed an arc of rainbow colors in the moonlight. I could zoom through the water with the tiniest movement, going deeper and deeper with every flick of my tail. It reminded me of the time we went to World of Water at summer day camp. We were in a tunnel under the water with sea life all around us. It felt as if we were really in the sea. Only now I really was. I could reach out and touch the weeds floating up through the water like upside down beaded curtains. I could race along with the fat gray fish that were grouped in gangs, weaving around each other and me as though they were dancing. I laughed with pleasure, and a line of bubbles escaped from my mouth, climbing up to the surface. It seemed as though I'd only been swimming for 5 minutes. When I realized the sky was starting to grow pink, I panicked. A new thought hit me. What if I couldn't change back? But the second I pulled myself out of the water, my tail softened. I dangled on the rope ladder and watched, fascinated, as the shiny scales melted away one by one. As my legs returned, they felt odd, like when your mouth goes numb after you've gotten a filling at the dentist. I wiggled my toes to get rid of the pins and needles in my feet. Then I headed home with a promise to myself that I would be back soon. Bob, the swimming instructor, was standing in front of me, talking into a cell phone. I couldn't hear what he was saying. Somebody grabbed my shoulders. This, this is the one, isn't it? A snarling voice growled behind my ear. Bob nodded. I tried to wriggle free from the man's clutches, but he was holding my shoulders too firmly. What do you want? My voice squeaked from my mouth. As if you didn't know, the snarly voice snapped at me. You're the freak. He shook my shoulders. I'm not a freak, I shouted. I'm not. Stop pretending, a woman's voice replied. I'm not pretending. I wriggled under the hands holding my shoulders. I'm not a freak. Emily, for Pete's sake, the woman's voice said, I know you're not really asleep. My eyes snapped open to see Mom's face inches from mine, her hands on my shoulders, shaking me gently. I bolted upright in my bed. What's happening? Mom let go of me. What's happening, sleepyhead, is that you're going to be late for school. Now get a move on. Salem, get off the chair. She parted the curtains in the doorway. And don't forget to brush your teeth, she said without turning around. Over breakfast, I tried to remember my dream and the things I'd been shouting. It had felt so real to capture the voices. Had I said anything out loud? I didn't dare ask, so I ate in silence. It was on the third mouthful that things went serious wrong. Mom was fussing around as usual, shuffling through the huge piles of paper stuffed behind the mixer. Where did I put that? What did I do with it? What is it this time? My shopping list. I'm sure I put it down here, somewhere. She leaned across to a pile of papers on the table. Aha, here it is. I looked up in horror. She picked up a piece of paper. Not just any piece of paper, a sheet of purple writing paper. No! I yelled, spitting half of a mouthful of cereal across the table and leaping forward to grab the paper. Too late, she had unfolded it, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the sheet, and I held my breath. No, that's not it, she mouthed. Bleh. Mom started to fold the paper up. I breathed out and swallowed the rest of my mouthful. But then she opened it again. Hang on, that's my name there. No, it's not. It's someone else's. It's not you at all. I snatched at the paper. Mom kept gripping it tightly and ignored me. Where are my reading glasses? They were hanging around her neck, as they usually are when she's looking for them. Why don't I just read it for you? I said in my very best perfect daughter voice, but as I was speaking, she found her glasses and put them on. She studied the note. I tried to edge away from the table, but she looked up on my second step. Emily? Hmm? She took her glasses off and waved the note in front of my face. Want to explain this to me? Salem. Sorry, our cat is playing in um she's playing in paper bags. Yep, my cat is playing in paper bags. Sorry. She took her glasses off and waved the note in front of my face. Want to explain this to me? Let's see now. I examined the note with what I hoped was and I've never seen it before in my life, but I'll see if I can help kinds of expression on my face. She didn't say anything, and I kept staring at this note, pretending I was reading it, anything to avoid meeting her eyes while I waited for my lecture. But then she did something even worse than lecture me. She put the paper down, lifted my chin up with her hand, and said, I understand, Emily. I know what it's about. You do? I squeaked, terrified. All those things you were saying in your sleep about being a freak, I should have realized. You should? She let go of my chin and shook her head sadly. I've been an idiot not to realize before. You have? Then she took my hand between her palms and said, You're like me. You're afraid of water. I am? I squeaked. Then I cleared my throat and twisted my hair. I am, I said seriously. Of course I am. I'm scared of water. That's exactly what it is. That's what all this has been about. Just nothing more than that. Why didn't you tell me? I looked down at my lap, closed my eyes tight, trying if possible to squeeze a bit of moisture out of them. I was ashamed, I said quietly. I didn't want to let you down. Mom pressed my hand harder between hers and looked into my eyes. Hers were a bit wet too. It's all my fault, she said. I'm the one who's let you down. I stopped you from learning how to swim, and now you've inherited my fear. Yes, I said. I nodded sadly. I suppose I have, but you shouldn't blame yourself. It's okay. I don't mind, seriously. She let go of my hand and shook her head. But we live on a boat, she said. We're surrounded by water. I almost laughed, but stopped myself when I saw the expression on my mom's face. Then a thought occurred to me. Mom, why exactly do we live on a boat if you're so afraid of water? She screwed up her eyes and stared into mine as if she was looking for something. I don't know, she whispered. I can't explain it, but it's such a deep feeling. I could never leave King. But it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're scared of water, and we live on a boat in a beach resort. I know, I know. We're miles from anywhere. Even Nan and Granddad live on the other side of the country. Mom's face hardened. Nan and Granddad? What do they have to do with it? I've never even seen them. 2 cards a year, and that's it. I've told you before, Em. They're a long way away, and we don't get along very well. But why not? We had a fight a long time ago, she laughed nervously. So long I can't even remember what it was about. We sat in silence for a moment, then Mom got up and looked out of the porthole. This isn't right. It shouldn't be like this for you, she murmured as she wiped the porthole with her sleeve. Then she suddenly twirled around her skirt, flowed out around her. I've got it, she said. I know what we'll do. Do? What do you mean, do? I'll just take the note to school, or you could write one yourself. No one will ever know. Of course they will. No, we can't do that. Yes, we can. I'll just. Now, Emily, don't start with your arguing. I haven't got the patience for it. Her mouth tightened into a determined line. I cannot allow you to live your life like this, but you don't. What I do is my own business, she snapped. Now please stop answering me back. She paused for a moment before opening her address book. Now there's nothing else to do. You need to conquer your fear. What are you going to do? I fiddled with a button on my blouse. She turned away from me as she picked up the phone. I'm going to take you to a hypnotist. All right, Emily, now I want you to breathe nice and deep. Good. I was sitting in an armchair in Mystic Millie's back room. I didn't know she did hypnotism, but according to Sandra Castle, she worked wonders on Charlie Hogg's twitch, and that was good enough for Mom. Try to relax, Millie intoned before taking a very loud, deep breath. Mom was sitting in a plastic seat in the corner of the room. She had said she wanted to be there just in case of what she didn't exactly explain. You're going to have a little sleep, Milly drawled. When you wake up, your fear of water will have completely gone, vanished, floated away. I had to stay awake. If I fell into a trance and started babbling about everything, the whole plan would be ruined. Not that I had a plan as such, but you know what I mean. What would Millie think of if she found out? What would she do? Visions of nets and cages and scientist laboratories swam into my mind. I forced them away. Very good, Millie breathed in a husky voice. Now I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. As I do, I'd like you to close your eyes and imagine you're on an escalator, gradually traveling down, lower and lower, deeper and deeper. Make yourself as comfortable as you can. I shuffled in my seat. 10, 9, 8, Millie said softly. I closed my eyes and waited nervously for the drowsy feeling to come. 7, 6, 5. I pictured myself on an escalator like the one in the mall in town. I was running the wrong way, scrambling up against the downward motion. I waited. 4, 3, 2. You're feeling very drowsy. I waited a bit more. Then that's when I realized I wasn't feeling drowsy at all. In fact, 1. I was wide awake. I'd done it. Hooray! Billy was a phony. The aura thing had been a fluke after all. She didn't say anything for ages, and I was starting to get fidgety when a familiar noise broke the silence. I opened my eyes, the tiniest crack, to see Mom in the opposite corner, fast asleep and snoring like a horse. I snapped my eyes quickly shut and fought the urge to urgle. Urgle? Giggle. Now visualize yourself next to some water, Millie said in a low voice. Think about how you feel about the water. Are you scared? What emotions are you experiencing? The only thing I was experiencing was pain in my side from trying not to laugh. And now think of somewhere that you have felt safe, somewhere you felt happy. I pictured myself swimming in the sea. I thought about the way my legs became a beautiful tail and about the feeling of zooming along with the fish. I was on the verge of drifting into a happy dream world of my own when Mom let out a huge snore and made me jump out of my chair. I kept my eyes closed tight and pretended I jumped in my sleep. Mom shuffled in her chair and whispered, Sorry, not to worry, Millie whispered back. She's complete under, just twitching. After that, I let my mind drift back to the sea. I couldn't wait to get out there again. Millie's voice carried on in the background, and Mom soon started snoring again. By the time Millie counted from 1 to 7 to wake me up, I was so relieved I hugged her. What's that for? She asked. Just to thank you for curing my fear. I lied. She blushed as she slipped Mom's $20 bill into her purse. Think nothing of it, pet. It's a labor of love. Mom was quiet on the way home. Did she know I hadn't been asleep? Did she suspect anything? I didn't dare ask. We made our way through the town's narrow streets down to the promenade. As we waited to cross the road, she pointed to a bench facing out oceanside. Let's go and sit down there over there for a moment, she said. You okay, Mom? I asked as casually as I could while we sat on the bench. The tide was out, and little pools dotted the ripply sand it had left behind. She peered out toward the horizon. I had a dream, she said without turning around. It felt so real. It was beautiful. When? Felt real? She looked at me for a second, blinked, and turned back to the sea. It was out there somewhere. I can almost feel it. Mom, what are you talking about? Promise you won't think I'm crazy? Course I won't. She smiled and ruffled my hair. I smoothed it back down. When we were at Millie's, she closed her eyes. I dreamed about a shipwreck under the water, a huge golden boat and a marble mast, a sailing of amber, a pavement of pearl. Huh? It's a line from a poem, I think. I can't remember the rest. She gazed at the sea, and the rocks. They weren't like any rocks you've ever seen. They used to glisten every color you could imagine. Used to? What do you mean? Did I say that? I mean, they did in my dream. They shone like a rainbow in water. It felt so real, so familiar. Her voice trailed off, and she gave me a quick sideways look. But I suppose it's sometimes like that, isn't it? We all have dreams that feel real. I mean, you do, don't you? I was trying to figure out what to say when she started waving. Oh, look, she said briskly. There's Mr. Beeston. I glanced up to see him marching toward the pier. He comes around for coffee every Sunday, 3 o'clock on the dot. Mom makes coffee. He brings honey buns or donuts or bear claws. I usually scarf mine down quickly and leave the two of them alone. I don't know what is about him. He makes the boat feel smaller somehow, darker. Mom puts her fingers in the edges of her mouth and let out a sharp whistle. Mr. Beeson turned around. He smiled awkwardly and gave us a quick wave. Mom stood up. Come on, better get back and put the water on. Before I could ask her anything else, she was marching back to the boat. I had to run to keep up. that was chapter 2 of The Tale of Emily Windsnap. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll meet out. Peace.